Hey, good day to you. This is David Cohen. I'm with my guest, Lennox Cadore. This is the 5-day peace challenge, day 2. And if you're also tuning in, it's the Good Morning Show, where we try and, we're all trying, what we're trying to do is pick up your vibe and give you tools to succeed. Lennox is a longtime colleague. He's a life coach, a fitness guru. After, are you going to take your shirt off after? No. It's a family show. You're a podcast host as well. You're an entrepreneur. You also created a film festival, and as I said, a longtime friend and colleague. Welcome to the webcast today, Lennox.
Thank you very much, David, for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here. Well, I'm happy to be in my house, but also be here as well.
Self-isolating,
Yeah.
or getting work done. I'm pretty busy. I don't know about you. You must be too.
I'm very busy, but it's a weird kind of busyness, right? Like after a while, it's like after this is going to be like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and it's like, where did the day go? But I already know where it went. So
it goes fast. Like that's what I find. Time just whips, which is really weird. You would think it would be the opposite, but since but it goes fast. So we're talking about peace, and one's physical activity lends itself to peace within and without. So I want to begin with a wonderful quote by Robert Urich. And he states, "A healthy outside starts from the inside." You do a lot of one-on-one work with individuals in your life coaching practice who want to live their best versions of themselves. What do you see in your clients when they embrace the inside?
Actually, the whole purpose of the way I start to reframe my whole fitness practice, especially the one-on-one work, what I start to do is it's just funny just seeing the screen. One of the things I start to do is actually start to go deeper into a person's mindset and deeper into some of the things that they're dealing with and what they're struggling with. Because a lot of times people don't realize that the external is just like a reflection of what's going on inside your body. So, or what's going on inside your mind and your body. And a lot of times, like for example, if a person is dealing with stress, a lot of people's dealing with toxic environments where they work or where they live, they don't really understand like your body stores your emotions. And so when your body, is reacting to these kind of stresses that's taking place, it craves a lot of things. And so some of the things that we crave is probably the sweets, the salts, or the sodium, and all those other kind of things that we would deem as not as healthy, but it's very therapeutic for the soul. And so how I try to work with people is try to dig deep inside just to figure out what are the issues that they're really facing, what are the struggles that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And as we're able to deal with those, we're able to create long-term and sustainable change within their body.
Wow, sweet. So what are you seeing these days? And have things changed, or have they gotten maybe more, I'm not going to say worse, but maybe more intense?
Well, it all depends on the individual. Like some people in my group coaching, or in my accountability group, they are a lot more motivated to do things. So they have time. So they work. So they'll do a workout before they come back home, just like work at the office, or they do it after that work day, or do something during lunch. And since we have that accountability group, they're able to just post what they did throughout the day. So so those are the kind of people that have found or experienced a lot of changes with their lives. But in reality, a lot of people are just struggling, and they're just struggling just to do the regular things. Like I do workouts every single morning live on Facebook at 7:30 a.m. and on Saturdays at 9 o'clock. And that creates a level of accountability for me. So I know that people are relying on me just to do something. So I never really had, after that first day, I never really had that chance to just let myself down because I know that other people are relying on me. And then I'm able to do probably go for a walk, go for a run right after. So for a person like me, that accountability just keeps myself going. And it's not really one of those kind of things that I would really need to struggle with. But the vast majority of people, they're having a hard time dealing with a lot of things that's happened previously. And then also with the stuff that's happened a couple of weeks ago.
Right. When you, when someone you do life coaching with, um, clears up a mess or works through an issue, what begins to transform? What do you notice in them?
Well, things like figuratively and literally becomes lighter for them, in a sense that like they like a weight of stress or pressure becomes alleviated, and they're able to walk in this world differently. Like I just had a client this morning. She told me that she feels strong and stronger. She's a lot more confident, and she said that she knows changes. I said, what made you aware that your body was changing? Like I was able to see it, but she wasn't. But she was able to reach into like her closet, and she found like an old pair of jeans that she was able to fit in comfortably.
Oh, cool.
And for a lot of people, they need those kind of like tangible kind of results to make themselves feel better, and they feel like they could conquer the world. And so once I received that information, I knew personally I was on the right track, but now she knows that she's on the right track. And so it makes like the process of us working together going forward a little bit easier.
So you got to work on yourself and clean up any emotional issues, and then you're a lot more liberated and free to move forward and make other change, right? Is that what
Yeah, and not everybody's able to like go deep within, but it's part of the process. It's like again, there's a lot of trauma that we have stored into our lives, and
Oh, yeah.
once we start to look at the trauma, look deep into the anxiety, and see what are the things that are causing it, that is the thing that would enable us to transform a little bit more, because those emotions that keep coming up or cropping up really debilitates a person, and it really makes them feel like no matter what they do, things aren't going to work.
Right. It's kind of like, it's almost like it sabotages you, you know?
Oh, self-sabotage is huge.
Yeah. And it just sort of like rears its ugly head time and time again. And it's old programming and old stories that keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up. And then it's like some sort of, you know, scary monster, reeling you in and pulling you down.
And yeah, and just to show my age, it's like life is really like an old video game, like Donkey Kong or all those other kind of games. You cannot progress to the next level until you address all the things that is keeping you where you are. So until you're able to figure out how to maneuver in life, you're always going to be stuck. So to unstuck, you need to address and redress and then redefine who you are every single step of the way.
Right. Or get the book on how to get to the next level in Donkey Kong and read thoroughly. So educate yourself. Now, you mentioned just a few moments ago that you do group work. And that lends itself to accountability. Does that, having a group and a team around you, contribute, Lennox, to being accountable and to maybe turbocharging the change you want to make in your life?
Well, yes, exactly. Because one of the exercises I give my clients is like, who's on your team? And who are the people, your supporters? And honestly, if in your family you do not have that strong base of support, it's going to make any kind of transformation that you want very difficult. Because all it is really just reinforcing some kind of shame that you have already with yourself. So for example, if you're trying to like eat well or eat healthier, then everybody else in your family is having a pizza night, that's difficult. You could like withstand that one day. You can withstand that probably 2 days, but then 3 or 4 days, especially when you don't see the changes in your life, you're going to go down that slippery slope. And it's like part of the things that like people that deal with addictions go through. Yeah, I could probably go to that party or that gathering once or twice, but unless I have that real support where people realize that like, okay, this is not a safe space for me, I'm going to regress. And so that's what we try to do, try to build the person up and have them really start to develop a brand new identity and then look back at those things. So we use affirmations, we use a true identity exercise, I use meditation, all these other kind of things in terms of mindset development during my one-on-one coaching with my clients.
I love it. And I love that approach. Because really what you're doing is you're working on the client's inner game so that their outer life is more peaceful, more joyous, and that they have more confidence.
Oh yeah.
Do you have an example of a client that you coached that you worked with them on their inner game to overcome something and how did it actually play out in their outer life?
Well, this person was kind of different. Like she was able to internalize a lot of things very easy, but she realized that the first thing that she had to do is that she has to take care of herself first,
Mm,
right? And she had to set like an hour every single day to like she has 3 kids and her husband is very supportive, and that's where like who's on your team is very critical. And she was able to realize that self-care was the most important thing. So she needed some of her own time, and she had to tell that to her family that this time is my time, and her kids understand, they respect it. I asked her, did you feel guilty? She goes, a bit, and you still do. But the reality is that like, if I'm not here for myself, she would not be there for her family.
yeah, so it's the old airplane
The whole
oxygen.
mass thing.
uh, I,
Yeah, and she had tremendous results. It's blown me away. Like in about 20 weeks, actually just under 20 weeks, she's lost 40 pounds.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's like crazy. We
Yeah.
both like, when we see the results, we go, this is crazy, but she does the work. You know what I mean? And her mother, who was a cancer survivor, her mother was able to develop that kind of healthy lifestyle beforehand. And so there was that example. Her mother walked a lot and her mother ate right. And so when she made that transformation, that support and that example was there already. So her kids saw that example. Her kids, like one of her daughters, 5 years old, doing yoga. Like,
Oh
who
my
does
God.
that? You
Wow.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this is normal in her family. And so healthier living, working out, and all this stuff, it has become normalized in her family. And so because it's normalized, it's not only just her that's transforming, it's her children that's transforming. It's going to be her children's children. So what we're doing is creating real generational change.
And there I actually want to talk about children too in my questions with you today. And there was I forget the group, but I think it's they're based in Baltimore. And
Okay.
it's in a real high priority neighborhood. And you and I both have worked in those neighborhoods here in the GTA.
Yep.
And they work with kids in schools, and they go in, and these are like, sort of like guys who have, had criminal records, and they're street punks. But what
Mm.
they're doing is they're going in and they're teaching them to do yoga, to meditate, to communicate better. And what's happened is that bullying's gone down, that kids are more engaged at school,
Yep.
that violence in the area has gone down because the kids are paying attention to their inner world and their inner game and their emotions and feelings, and they're learning to be okay with it and to communicate their feelings and emotions in a more mindful way, I guess. So, you know, for parents who are watching us today, and they're a little bit, maybe they're a little bit, there's a little bit of shame in admitting that, you know what, my son or my daughter is kind of struggling right now with
Mhm.
what's going on. What advice would you give to them to say, drop the shame and get your kids either active or some emotional and supportive help?
Well, that is critical because I was going to tag on to what you were saying. There was a study, and it was reported in the Toronto Star a few years ago, that they took some young people who are high risk, and they had them do workouts, half an hour every single morning. What happened with those young people, as you said, with the yoga and all that, their minds were a little bit more relaxed. And so they were able to, once they got back into the classroom, they were able to focus a little bit more. Because what happens to a lot of people, our minds are all over the place. I know mine is like a lot of times nowadays, because so many different ideas keep popping up all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
And those young people, they were able to sit down, their bodies are a little bit more under control, and they were able to focus. I knew 20 years ago, oh my gosh, probably even close to 30 years ago now, that's how old I am again. I worked for one organization, and one school downtown in Parkdale, or actually Regent Park, Rose Avenue Public School. They
mm,
started off every single morning with the whole school with a 5-minute meditation. But you wouldn't call it meditation, it's just quiet time. And
yeah.
so those kids' minds were able to relax and focus, and then it made it a lot easier for them to work in throughout the whole school day. So it's very useful and critical for schools to actually have an understanding of mindfulness, body movement and all those kind of things, and how it affects our brains and how it affects our bodies. So parents right now, one of the things that they could do is something simple. First thing in the morning, when you wake up, go for a 10, 15-minute walk with the whole family.
Yeah.
If it's too hot during the day, go again. But the most important thing is end the evening that way. Like if you go to a lot of European countries or even in South Asia, people used to walk a lot. Some of them with no choice.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like our bodies were designed to move. We're not designed to be sedentary as we are now. So the more that we move, the more our body becomes aligned with the way that it was originally created. And that movement creates so many tangible results in our lives. It also helps with our mood, you know? So like the serotonin picks us up. So it helps to alleviate or minimize the effects of depression on our minds and on our bodies. So it's very critical during this time. You can still do your social distancing, walk 5, 10, 15 minutes. At the end of the night, 5, 10, 15 minutes. And if you can during the day, the same thing. Kids need to move.
Yeah, they do, because we're hearing a lot about kids who are having a hard time dealing with the pandemic, because everything's changed for them too. I mean, you know, the schooling changed and how they did classes, and then their social life got, you know, kind of stopped. And you know, when we were kids, Lennox, like it was all about hanging with your friends, right?
Oh yeah, nobody cared about school. Everybody loved to hang out.
Yeah, it was girls and your friends. Except for me, I was home alone. But but you know, they are also more sedentary too right now, parking themselves in front of Xbox all day or learning online. And so mental health issues are affecting kids and teens, and you know, and having both the opportunity to deal with their emotions is vital. And exercise, or as Tony Robbins says in his teaching, that if you want to change your psychology, you need to change your physiology. So again, for so you know, as parents, we sort of we tuck this stuff under the rug. If our kids have sort of mental health issues, it's really hard for them to deal with that, and it's usually rooted in the lack of physical activity and the fact that they may be struggling. So what would you how else would you coach a parent to say, hey, it's okay, let me talk to my son or daughter and really see if they do need help and maybe a life coach or a coach or a therapist or a mentor to talk to. Like,
well, the one thing about
well.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm not a parent, but so I can't really like I can understand, but I can empathize, but I don't really have the I do have the capacity.
You've worked with kids and teens,
but that's the next thing.
Yeah.
Working with young people have taught me so much about kids. And first, kids are more resilient than we give them credit for. And two, kids are naturally intuitive. So they know when something is going on. When you tell them that, no, everything is fine, you're actually teaching them to distrust their own instincts.
Right.
When kids start to distrust their own instincts, they start to question themselves when they shouldn't. And that creates a situation of their living. That's the beginning of them living a life of inauthenticity. And that's where the trauma comes in. That's where the issues come in. You know, the most important thing that parents could do with their children is to be honest with them, no matter how painful it is. It's a natural tendency for parents to try to protect their children from everything, but their kids are a lot more aware than they realize.
Yeah.
So if you want to raise authentic children, you need to learn the language or the words necessary to teach them in such a way that is aligned with the truth that they already see. So, for example, with the issue just that took place just 3 weeks ago, if you don't talk to your children about it, they know what's going on. And it's not just from social media. They can see from TV or whatever. They
Sure.
sense what's going on. If you don't talk with them honestly, they're saying that something is not true. Something is not right. And if they have so much faith in you, they'll question their own reality. And that leads to, like I said before, various different types of traumas. So speaking the truth to children is equally as important as people learn how to speak the truth to power. You know, and so as children grow up and they're a lot more aligned with how they naturally feel, a lot of those issues that children experience later on in life, like lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, um, body issues, and all those kind of things, minimize because those children are a lot more comfortable with truth. Because that's all we're looking for in this world, truth. And the other thing is that like everybody is born an empath. The ones who are true empaths are the ones that have been able to maintain a sense of authenticity about them and not really been swayed away to distrust their own self and their own feelings.
Right. And, I was on a leadership call today and earlier, and it's with Dr. Lance Secretan, who's an author, writer, speaker, coach, consultant. And one of the messages we talked about was truth and the importance of telling the truth, not only to ourselves, but, we were doing it in a work setting. And even then truth in the home. You're right, because kids do pick up on things. They are more resilient than we think. And I think when when you try and tell them not to cry or don't feel, then they become disconnected, not only from their emotions and their feelings, but also from their physical bodies. And it's really important to set a good example now for them to honor who they are as physical, spiritual, mental, emotional beings.
Yep.
Yeah, you notice that?
oh yeah, I didn't realize that was a question. But
I was asking like what you think. That's what I was getting to.
Thanks, David.
Okay, bad question number one. It's P1, you no score on the bad questions. Yeah, so your take on that with the kids that you've worked with and the teens you've worked with in your work, like, when we deny kids the ability to be self-expressed, physically, mentally, emotionally, what do you notice when they're denied that versus when we empower them?
When they're denied that, that's where all the things I was talking about comes into effect. The lack of confidence, the lack of self-esteem. There's so many different types of things. And again, not to blame parents, because parenting is a very difficult job. There's no tool book, no guide on how people could do it. Nope. And you can read all those books that you want, but as soon as that child is born, throw those books out of into the garbage, because every single child is different. But there's some certain kind of truths about who we are as human beings. And you're not raising a child, you're raising an adult. So you're preparing your child all the way, every single step for adulthood. And the more you deny, the more you separate your children from, the worse it is for them. And the most important thing that people have to do is just like not hold secrets, because the source of a lot of childhood trauma comes from the secrets that families carry.
And it's usually around optics and how we look.
And, yeah.
And it's an embarrassment.
Oh yeah, and we always tell our kids, don't shame me in public, don't do this in public. But it's like, it's not me trying to shame you. I'm just trying to celebrate my essence.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out who I am in this world. And that's what happens when a lot of young people end up going to university. They just, this person just like went haywire. It's not that they went haywire per se. It's that like so many things inside them were repressed for so long. This is the first time that they get to just like release themselves.
Yeah.
And enjoy themselves and try to really identify like who they are as an individual and where they fit in this world. Right. And in reality, vast majority of us continuously go on that journey throughout all of life in order to come into that full realization.
Yeah. I kind of did that in my first year of university. I went to Trent University up in Peterborough.
Oh, okay. I went to Carleton, and people go to Carleton just to escape life.
Yeah. Well, and you got an escape hatch. You got the tunnels in Carleton.
Oh, yeah. Those are good.
But at Trent, we became left-wing commie pinkos. Pretty.
Yeah, they called it. I forgot Moscow I forgot what the river is.
On the Trent water river system, the Trent River.
Yeah, it was crazy what they used to call it.
That was me at one point.
Okay.
The key, I'm also, so truth is really important. Be real. Trust be good to yourself. The key, I think, too, is to be okay with oneself no matter what, whether we're kids who are going through the challenges right now, physically, emotionally, spiritually, or adults. So, what tips do you have in terms of practicing self-love? What does self-love look like to you, Lennox?
Well, one of the things, and I like to say this quite a bit, it's like self-care is self-love and it's never selfish.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
hand
So the
in.
first thing is like taking care of yourself, and it doesn't have to be like a workout. It could be yoga. It could be going for walks. It could, and your meditations. You don't have to sit down in one room and sit there. You could just on your walk. You could be very mindful. You could do your meditation. Because it has the same kind of effect on your mind as like sitting down like Buddhist style for 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And it's really just like allowing yourself to connect with your thoughts and connect with your inner being or your essence, your being or your chi. And but the most important thing is finding time for yourself to be yourself. And the other thing that I encourage for like in the first week right away, I encourage for my clients is just start journaling, and write these thoughts. Write down all the things that's going on in your mind, especially when you're dealing with emotions and what happens when you go to deal with emotions. So I don't, I write a lot of things down. I write way too many things down. Like we're just clearing out a room upstairs. I had notes on every single piece of paper imaginable. I used to be that sticky notes type of person. So the first thing is just like movement, as I said before, and then ideas, whatever, write it down. Your thoughts, write it down. And writing, or some people say using your phone is not therapeutic. I find it very therapeutic when I write things down in my phone because I'm able to find it after. So that's where the therapeutic aspect of things really come into effect, because I just go crazy just trying to find paper all over the place. So that's the first thing, self-care. And then the other thing is just like treating yourself with care and with love. And that involves the food that you ingest and how you treat the body. I'm not saying that you can't enjoy a few adult libations, but if it's something that you're not able to handle on a regular basis, cut back a little, because all we're really trying to do is escape. But instead of escape, let's find or trying to like face our challenges, our anxieties, our fears, the things that stress us out. And once you start to really dig deep and really start to explore those type of things, that's what being human is all about. That is the beauty of being human. We all have dragons to slay in this world.
Mhm.
And, we don't have to rely on that hero without. Let's try to become that hero within, because we're all on this heroic journey for success, however we want to deem it. So as long as we are along that path and we actually try to address those things, that's how we become more whole as an individual. And that's where we start to not need to rely on the external to address all the things that's happened in the internal.
Yeah. So it's like that quote we began with, that by Robert Urich. He says, "A healthy outside starts from the inside." And if you can slay those dragons, and it's a battle, bud. Like it doesn't that negative voice doesn't like to stop too much, and that negative voice affects everything.
Mhm.
It's how we treat ourselves, it's how we eat, it's how we approach our health and wellness, our exercise routine. And so what I heard you say is meditate, eat right, have balance, rest, have a good healthy wellness and physical activity regime. What would be a good regime if you haven't really done much over the past several weeks? What would be a good place to start? What's a healthy approach to your physical?
Wake up, give your head a shake, go for a 15-minute walk.
Yeah, just do it, right?
Just do it before you eat or after you eat, or just walk, drink a glass of water after every single meal.
When you work with your clients in your personal training role, do you notice changes in other aspects of their life too? And what begins to transform when they start to do the walking and they start to maybe give up, carbs and sugars? What do you notice in their whole being that starts to transform?
Well, it's the whole thing that I said before: the confidence, the ability to handle stress a lot better, the whole, like everything just changes. And it changes in such a way that it's something that they never really imagined before. And it's like one of those kind of things that you never really think about how important those small little things could be, and how important that they could just transcend the initial intent that we started off with when we went on this journey. And when I start seeing it over and over again, as I have, you start to really realize that something that, as some people may think is like not as important as like working out and all that kind of stuff, is more of a vanity thing. It goes beyond the vanity. It goes more towards like that internal type of development and growth. And so that's what you see a lot. And they use like a lot of people would use a lot of those lessons from this journey in how they deal with and address any other kind of issues that they have in their life.
Yeah, I find the place where I get the most joy, and tell me if it's true for you, is when I've done something where I've overcame my own negative thought, or I've overcome a situation and I've done something about it. So if it's in my business, maybe it's making 3 extra cold calls that day. If it's in my health, it's getting up early and putting my shoes on and going for my walk. No, it's paying attention to those little things and doing those little things day after day after day that add up to big change. So what's your take on that? When you
No, it's those small steps that creates large incremental changes. People always think that they have to go big all at once, but the most important thing, or the most effective way to do things, is small little things that leads to those big changes. And that's why I said just go for a walk, movement.
Yeah.
You know, like one day you're moving, you're walking, and then 3 months from now you just say, you know what? I walk 5 kilometers a day. Let me try to see if I could run 1 kilometer. You don't have to, but if that's your goal, if that's your desire, try it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you become less afraid to push yourself. And
Right.
the whole thing is that like life also, the one challenge with life is getting ourselves outside that comfort zone. So we have to become comfortable with being uncomfortable if we wish to change. And
Right.
because nothing ever grows within the comfort zone.
No, and you feel happier.
Oh yeah.
You have inner peace. It's like,
Sometimes it hurts, but it's okay.
it's okay. No, but you're right. Like, just the simple thing like a walk or a morning walk and a nature trail. Man, how can you not be in a good mood right after that? It's like.
Oh yeah, yesterday I went for a walk 3 times. Yesterday in the morning, at lunch, then in the evening. It was so nice.
Yeah, here too. I went twice yesterday.
Yeah.
And I went in the heat. I said, okay, I'm going to just do an extra 15 minutes. So
yeah,
it was great. Soaked my t-shirt pretty well. It was 31 degrees,
Yeah, 39 with the wind chill.
Yeah, with the wind chill.
Or I mean, not wind chill, with the heat, humidity.
Humidex. You see, my hair is not the same after that. So where do we, we're out of time, but where do we reach you to work with you? We got your website here. I'll just share the screen one more time.
So you can reach me at lennoxcadore.com.
Okay.
Or you can email me at coachlennoxc@gmail.com.
Okay. And you're the full deal. I mean, you live and breathe what you do, but you're not just like fitness, nutrition, life coaching. You work with inner city kids. You produce, film festivals. You've got that creative side to you. You've got the entrepreneurship angle to you as well. And that's what I love about you, is that it's not just, you're not just one dimensional. You're the full multi-dimensional.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well,
a lot of times we forget some of the things that we do or who we are. So the reminders are also great at times.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate this. I just want to leave everybody on a positive note. And this is a nice proverb. It's an Arabian proverb. He who has health, or he or she who has health, has hope, and he or she who has hope has everything.
Oh, nice. I like that.
Yeah. Lennox Cadore, my friend, thank you so much for this.
Thank you very much, David. This is really great. I
Yeah,
really,
it's a pleasure, and you're a joy, bud. So keep up the good work, okay?
and you too, bro.
Okay, that was Lennox Cadore. He joined us from his home office in the east part of the GTA, and he was our guest today on the 5-Day Peace Challenge and the Good Morning Show. Thank you so much.